What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday, and the Super Bowl matchup is officially set with the Philadelphia Eagles waltzing through the 49ers with the NFC Championship game Sunday afternoon. And last night, the Chiefs with a last-second field goal getting past the Cincinnati Bengals, and what was a thrilling game, but had some controversy at the end with a penalty that was a penalty, but it did allow the Chiefs to have that game-winning field goal opportunity as Harrison Butker kicked the 45-yard field goal with just 3 seconds left on the clock. And so the matchup is the Eagles versus the Chiefs in Arizona in 2 weeks from yesterday. So we'll talk about that a lot throughout the next couple of weeks. We will obviously talk a lot of Titans throughout the next couple of weeks as well before the Super Bowl game is actually played because the Senior Bowl is this week in Mobile, Alabama. And so Rand Carthen and Mike Vrabel will have a lot of time together scouting out future Titans potentially down in Mobile. So we'll talk about that, looking for an offensive coordinator. But today is all about the matchup and the A.J. Brown trade that now has resulted with a former Titans wide receiver superstar in the Super Bowl with his new team. So we'll talk about that, get your emotions, your feelings on A.J. Brown in the Super Bowl with the Eagles, and then some post-game antics from the Chiefs and Travis Kelce. We'll talk about that throughout the show as well. It is a Monday for an Ask Me Anything on this Monday. Zach, welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. I did not win money with BetMGM, but maybe you did. I don't know. But once again, wearing the BetMGM shirt on a Monday after they take my money. That's going to be my new thing. Rolling forward is whenever I lose, BetMGM gets extra cred over the weekend with my shirt.
I had a massive Saturday, like one of the biggest Saturdays that I've had. Won like hundreds of dollars.
Nice.
And Sunday, I was set up to lose, but when the Bengals went down by 10 and went to 7.5, I took it. And so I got back to even. So overall, I won money on the weekend. So, I can't complain. But plus 7.5 from the Bengals just felt like Burrow was not going to let that thing get away. And they got back in the game and it ended up being a very good game at the end where both teams had opportunities. The Chiefs just got a little bit closer and kicked a field goal. So we know who the Super Bowl teams are. We're going to talk a lot today. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We got you covered there. We also will tweet out segment by segment our YouTube links. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. If you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel, all you have to do is like this video. So like the video to help the algorithm. We want more and more fans coming in to the chat to interact, to conversate, and to help subscribe as we grow, trying to get to 15,000. We surpassed 10,000 about a month ago. We're trying to climb the road up to 15,000 subscribers for our YouTube channel. A lot more of you have watched and taken the show that way. Also, the Facebook, though, we still broadcast on Facebook. The Real OGs, bottom left corner of your screen. Share, not a public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. Share the show around. That would help us out a great deal. We need to pop up your Facebook friends news feed. So share the show around, and let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Let's get it going. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. Before we get going, got to thank our sponsors because they do make it happen for us and they help out you guys, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, rates, and service. Learn more about a health plan for you. That's fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, go to Hughes and Coleman for a free case consultation, 800-800-4600. So, Zach, Eagles versus Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Andy Reid's current team versus Andy Reid's former team. Travis Kelce versus brother Jason Kelce. And A.J. Brown is also in the Super Bowl as well in his first year after being traded from the Tennessee Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles. Zach, we're going to dive into A.J. Brown, that's for sure, right now, and talk a lot about what happened with this season and with the trade. But the A.J. Brown trade has to sting even more. The number 11 is going to the Super Bowl in Eagles green compared to being in Titan two-tone blue over the last couple of years. Here's a quick comment from A.J. Brown after the Eagles won the NFC Championship game 31-7 over San Francisco.
What's it like to join a team in a year and go to a Super Bowl for you, my friend?
Hey, it's crazy. I don't even know what to say, man. I'm so blessed, man. I'm so blessed how he pulled the trigger. Hey.
I'm so blessed with how we pulled the trigger. Hey, how about that? Stacey Dale's there from the NFL Network with A.J. Brown on the field after that game. Zach, A.J.'s all smiles. We've seen A.J. smile a lot in his 4 years in the NFL. A lot of smiles with the Titans and a big smile with the Eagles as he's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, look, and I think this is why we're going to talk about it. We got a really good question for the fans because, Peekaboo's saying, so hard to watch. Pauly D just threw up in his mouth. Like, that's got to be tough, a tough scene to watch. And look, everybody knows my feelings about this and about A.J. Brown, my affinity for A.J. Brown and how John Robinson really, derailed this Titans franchise by trading him away. I've been very vocal that was the wrong decision, that they pulled the trigger in the wrong way that they pulled the trigger. And it's got to be tough to watch A.J. Brown sit there in Philadelphia green, Eagles green, go to the Super Bowl while the Titans haven't been to the Super Bowl since the late 90s,
Well, technically tough. January 2000,
right? But I mean, that was their run. I mean, that was such a long, it was 20, plus years ago. And now AJ gets traded to a new team, a better team. Like, that's the fact. The Chiefs and the Eagles are the two best teams. They were the two number one seeds. They played the best football throughout the course of the season, the best. And they find themselves facing off in a Super Bowl there's tons of storylines, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But this is John Robinson. This makes me sick. This should make fans sick. You don't trade away the most talented player that you have drafted at the wide receiver position in the history of your franchise for a first-round pick and some other picks. Because that's essentially what it was. They didn't even get a great deal on that because you weren't willing to pay the man. The Eagles were willing to pay the man, and they're reaping the benefits of it. And A.J. Brown had a great year. I mean, he did. If you watch the Eagles, he had an outstanding year.
He set the franchise record for receiving yards in a season.
Titans set probably the low end of receiving yards in a season. So it was point counterpoint. That was the point. And so this has got to make you sick if you're a Titans fan watching A.J. Brown sit there in those. And isn't that what it is? The championship T-shirts that are oversized over the shoulder pads.
Right.
Like that's not what you want to say because of one man's bad decision that we all also know that was impactful enough to get him fired. Yeah. So we know that it was the wrong decision. I was preaching that it was the wrong decision the moment that it happened, but here we are.
Yeah, and Sheila John Hoff says AJ has done very little in the playoffs. So that's because the Eagles have donkey stomped both the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. Like, those games both played out to where the Eagles did not have to throw the football. AJ Brown did have a third down catch and conversion on the opening drive of the game that led to the first touchdown scored by the Eagles. Now, the Brock Purdy injury completely changed the entire game of how that went. And then the subsequent Josh Johnson injury really changed it because a quarterback was playing for the Niners who could not throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field based off of the play calls that Kyle Shanahan called throughout the rest of that game. So that game was over fast. But let's go ahead and talk and get more into the A.J. Brown feels, and we'll play that video again here in a second. But the question we want to ask is, are you, and because we know this, we know who our audience is. You guys are Titans fans. That's how we built A to Z Sports Nashville. You guys are Titans fans. Are you rooting for A.J. Brown in the Super Bowl with the Eagles? Because this is a very interesting question to see the psyche of a person, of A.J. Brown traded from your favorite team and now playing with his new team in the Super Bowl. Everything that went down and how that trade was made. AJ said how we pulled the trigger in that comment that we'll play. Are you rooting for AJ Brown in the Super Bowl with the Eagles? But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to trust the Bone and Joint Institute. You need to go there to get yourself right and back to health again. And they've got the specialists that can diagnose and help you heal any type of injury, whether it's head, elbow, knee, toes, whatever it might be. They've got you covered. And they also have a state-of-the-art facility in Franklin, Tennessee, with a rehab facility as well with our guy Dave. So check them out, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. They are the king of the sports books. Up to $25 back on a one-game parlay of 4+ legs if it falls short on pro football. And so they got you hooked up. A to Z Sports is the promo code. Download the app today in your Apple or Android store. That's BetMGM.
All right, so we're asking this question. I'll play the video one more time. And Zach, I'm going to send you to the chat. Are you rooting for A.J. Brown in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles? Here was A.J. postgame after the NFC Championship win.
What's it like to join a team in a year and go to a Super Bowl for you, my friend?
Hey, it's crazy. I don't even know what to say, man. I'm so blessed, man. I'm so blessed how he pulled the trigger. Hey.
I'm so blessed with how he pulled the trigger, quote, A.J. Brown. So, Zach, I'll send you to the chat. We've got over
Howie. It's not how he pulled the trigger. It's Howie Roseman.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't catch that? It's Howie. I'm so glad Howie pulled the trigger. Howie Roseman is the general manager who pulled the trigger on the trade.
I didn't even think about that. I was thinking, because I was always, my biggest takeaway from the trade was how A.J. Brown and his agent, Tory Dandy, manipulated the entire situation.
Howie Roseman.
Oh my gosh.
I just think we have a full mind blow right here live on a Monday morning.
Did you, when you heard it the first time, is that what you thought?
Yeah, I heard it. That's why I was like, that's Howie Roseman. It's
so funny. Because I'm thinking about this in a different standpoint. I'm like, how we pulled the trigger because of how because what did I say? The entire spring when the trade happened, I was calling Tory Dandy the puppeteer, controlling A.J. Brown, getting him to take Tennessee off of his social media, getting him to do all these different things. My goodness, I have to play it again.
Howie Roseman.
I feel like an idiot, so I'm going to play it again.
What's it like to join a team in a year and go to a Super Bowl for you, my friend?
Hey, it's crazy. I don't even know what to say, man. I'm so blessed, man. I'm so blessed how he pulled the trigger. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, but I can see it both ways.
No, there's no both ways. Wrong. You can't see it both ways.
I can see.
It's only one way, and that's the way it is.
But I mean, it is both ways. It's one of those double meaning things, right? It's Howie Roseman pulled the trigger, and also how we manipulated the situation to pull the trigger.
Wrong. So, what's your reaction on now that you know that it's Howie Roseman pulling the trigger on the trade to send A.J. Brown and pay him all of the money that he honestly was warranted?
Yeah.
That he pulled the trigger to trade him to Philadelphia to bring a possible another Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, I mean, it does change my feeling quite a bit. Like because A.J. Brown is somebody who lives in the social media sewers and clearly remembers and hangs on to things that happened in the past based off of how he goes about social media and tweeting and his comments throughout the entire season and off season before that. So yeah, I do. I now that I can hear it, and obviously he says Howie Roseman pulled the trigger, then yeah, I mean, A.J. Brown's happy. A.J. Brown got what he wanted. It doesn't change my mind on how I think AJ Brown and Torrey Dandy manipulated the situation, and they called the Titans out on their bluff, and the Titans are the one hurting for it. And John Robinson is the one out of a job. So I still
low
feel
ball J-Rob?
No,
You're talking about low ball J-Rob? Low balling a premier player for $16 million when he's worth well over 20. That is the ultimate reason. And Austin, we now have the facts. I think that is the dust is starting to settle. Now, for everybody else, you know, the AJ Brown trade will always sting Titans fans, especially if Philadelphia continues with the success. We're talking about Jalen Hurts with a massive extension. We'll find out if he wins the Super Bowl here in a couple of weeks. But this, and I saw this earlier on in the chat, this will haunt Titans fans for years to come, because it's going to be a hard hill to climb for Treylon Burks to get to the level of AJ Brown. The bar is just set so high. And especially now that AJ Brown had his 1,400+ yard season and made it to a Super Bowl.
Well, and it's not fair to Treylon Burks for everybody to judge him against AJ Brown.
Life's not fair, though.
No, I'm not saying life is fair. I'm just saying that's the situation that Treylon Burks was put into. It's the well, John Robinson and the Titans put Treylon Burks in that situation. And so just the last thing on the Howie thing, before we actually get to the comments on the question that we asked here, is I think because Sam in our pre-show call, I had not seen that video until we played it. Sam said that AJ ended with how we pulled the trigger, and I immediately heard how we instead of Howie Roseman. And so that was how I had it in my mind. So I do my bad on that. But so let's get to the actual answers to the question here from the chat, Zach. Are you rooting for AJ Brown in the Super Bowl with the Eagles? Are you rooting for AJ Brown in the Super Bowl? Zach, do you want to try to, I mean, we can try to scroll back.
I'll scroll all the way back up. We've had a lot of comments because of the Howie thing, but let's see here. We got a lot of yeses, which is, you know, I think for Titans fans, you know, it is, time has passed, but you know, your ex-girlfriend now gets married and has this lavish life on Instagram. You know, it does probably sting a little bit, but how do you actually feel? Mm-hmm. Well, are you rooting for AJ Brown in the Super Bowl? Yes, Bradley says. Yes, Steven says. The same, Denise says. No, from Peekaboo. Yes, from Brandon. Debo says yes.
Debo Samuel?
Debo Sanity. Well, if J-Rob had sanity, he would have known that Debo and DK were going to stay, just like AJ Brown would have stayed if he would have made the right deal and not lowballed AJ Brown on that offer. CJ says yes. Let's see here. No, rooting for Kern, not AJ. So there's some honesty there as Brett Kern gets into a Super Bowl, who had an illustrious Titans career and beloved by the Titans organization because he was a Pro Bowl punter for a number of years. Titan Up says yes. No. AFC from David. Hell no from Mark. Nope from Jerry. Daff says yes. Tiffany says no. Indifferent, not my team from Dom. That's an honest opinion right there. Rooting for AJ Brown and Brett Kern from Jarrell. Jeff says no because he hates the Eagles. No. AFC guy for life, period. Of course, I'm rooting for AJ. Why would be sick? Xavier, nope. So how do you feel on this, Austin?
So I think Zach and I, we are not Titans fans. We have been covering the Titans. Zach, I think you for 13 years. This was my 10th year covering the team. So there's a difference in how we view these. Like I like Brett Kern. I didn't really talk to Brett Kern much, but I respect Brett Kern. So yeah, I think it would be great for Brett Kern to win a Super Bowl. With AJ Brown, I kind of view him a little bit vindictively because I do think he played a part in manipulating his way out of Tennessee. But I'm
Which
not
ultimately was the right decision, though, right?
For him, and I get it, right? Like,
but isn't that what it is?
Sure, but I can also have my opinion that how I feel. Like, I still do not think that AJ Brown negotiated in good faith because of what came out of the Titans organization the day after the trade, that AJ Brown shut down the conversations for any type of contract talk 3 weeks prior to the draft. Look, the Titans messed it up.
But there was a reason for that, right? Like, the first hand was played. So AJ didn't just go on this vindictive streak all of the sudden. Now that we know more about it, we know that an offer was made prior that honestly was offensive to AJ Brown and his agency. And that ultimately resulted in why he went silent.
I think there's sides to everything, right? Like there's AJ's side, there's John Robinson's side, and then there's what happened, and then there's the why each side thinks it went the way that it did. John Robinson feels that he started a negotiation with a player early, right? A year early, and months earlier than he normally does start these conversations. And he started low because you can always go up. And AJ shut that down, right? That is what John Robinson felt, is that AJ shut it down and stopped all conversations with everybody who was employed by the Tennessee Titans in that office immediately after that. And so I don't think that's the right way you negotiate, but I also get that AJ felt disrespected by that, and he did what he thought he had to do. I also know this, that Tory Dandy got not as good contracts for other wide receiver clients earlier in that period, pre-Christian Kirk contract from the Jags. And that Tory Dandy, who is a wide receiver agent guy, did not get enough money for Mike Williams. He did not get enough money for your guy Godwin in Tampa Bay. He felt that he had to make up for those contracts that he missed out with his other clients.
Well, those guys are also not the same as AJ Brown.
I also, and there's a lot of things that go into this, right?
Those are number two wide receivers on their team.
Well, hold on, I'm not done. And AJ, we know AJ is an emotional guy, right? And for good, for bad, AJ wears his heart, his emotions right there in his shoulder pads and on his Twitter fingers. And so Tory Dandy had the right type of human to be able to convince that the Titans were screwing him, right? And that all worked out.
They were. AJ,
but again,
do you disagree that the Titans' first offer is screwing AJ Brown at $16 million?
No,
AJ Brown has proven that to be fact.
Again, I don't. I don't think any first offer should be considered a screw job. It's a first offer. Like, let's just do and again, that's where I think emotionally.
Also, if you have an employee that's worked really, really hard for you and say, hey, we're going to give you a raise, and you're going to give them a $100 raise, like, yeah, it's screwing them. It doesn't make sense.
But that way, it wasn't $100 raise. Like that's
comparative to what he was worth. Okay. I mean, you're talking about a $10 million difference, Austin.
What we also don't know, what we do not know, is we do not know if the $16 million base per year happened pre or post Christian Kirk deal. We don't know. If it happened pre-Christian Kirk deal, then it's really not that bad. If it happened post-Christian Kirk deal, then it's bad. Again, so I want to move on beyond that, right? Because I want to get it's a very complicated situation with emotions on both sides. The Titans lost.
I think it's less complicated now, though.
Well, because
we know, like you and I have gone back and forth for literally 10 months, for almost a year, right? Since it happened.
Yeah.
9 months. And we figured out, just like we figured out the talent versus coaches things. This is kind of the best part of the show. You find out exactly what the deal was and who was in more of the wrong and right. You have an opinion, right? Everybody's going to have an opinion.
Yeah, but I do think that's fine. So here's what I think. I'm not rooting against AJ Brown. I don't have a personal thing against AJ. I think he handled a situation when he was 24 years old, probably not as well as he would when he gets older, or not. I don't know, right? And so I'm not rooting against AJ Brown in life on Sunday, February 12th. I didn't root against him yesterday. Here's the honesty. My in-laws are from Philadelphia. My wife and her family are massive Philadelphia Eagles fans. I had an amazing moment 5 years ago watching the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl with my now late father-in-law at his house with my now brother-in-law, having a great time watching the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I want the Eagles to win a Super Bowl for that. And am I rooting against AJ? No. Am I rooting for AJ Brown? No, I don't care. Like, AJ Brown doesn't affect me as a NFL fan one bit. Is he a good player? Hell freaking yeah. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts with those 3 running backs and Dallas Goedert, sign me up to watch that behind 5 Pro Bowl offensive linemen all damn day. That's good football. I'm a fan of good football. And yeah, I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl because that brings my wife and her family a lot of joy. And it's the second time in 5 years that I get to do that. Sure. But I'm not rooting against or for A.J. Brown specifically. I respect Brett Kern because I was around him for like 9-10 years. I had a couple conversations with him and we went back and forth because I said something was his fault one time in a game that wasn't, and he corrected me on it. And I appreciate that. But it would be cool to see Brett Kern win a Super Bowl because he's 30 something plus years old. He got cut by the Titans. He's on his new team and he's going to have an opportunity. A.J. Brown, it's fine. Sure. I'm not rooting against him, but I'm also not rooting for him.
So for Kern, I feel the same way. You know, Kern's a great guy. He did a lot to the Titans organization. Yeah, you want him to, because of all that he put into a franchise that didn't win a Super Bowl, yeah, you'd like to see him win a Super Bowl. Here's why I'm rooting for A.J. Brown. This goes based on kind of how I look at life. It's a principle thing. It's a lesson learned thing. This should teach the Titans a lesson. I want A.J. Brown to win so that they look in the mirror and they never make the wrong decision on premier players again. That's what the Titans fans should be looking for. Because when you make decisions, there should and will be repercussions for those decisions. If you make good ones, you should be rewarded. If you make poor ones, then you should be punished in some form or fashion, right? And this is what this represents. I want A.J. Brown to take a victory lap because it was the wrong decision at the time. And it's already solidified because he's in the Super Bowl in the year that he's had. But it really solidifies that John Robinson, a mistake like that can be detrimental to one team and huge, massive, impactful to the other. So that's the reason why. It is a lesson learned for an organization. That's why I'm rooting for A.J. Brown. You can go into the ins and outs of whether you think that A.J. did the right or wrong thing through the negotiations. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And if you do good things, you should be rewarded. If you do bad things, you should be punished. It's just how life should work.
All right, so this is interesting because I've got comments here that CJ says, thank you, Zach. Tony says, exactly, Zach, my exact words last night. What a lesson. And then Juan says, that's a dumbass comment. Fans don't make the decisions, bro. So let's ask this question and kind of flip it around. As a Titans fan, for you guys, are you buying or selling what Zach just said? Are you buying the fact that A.J. Brown winning a Super Bowl with the Eagles in year one is a good lesson for the Titans? Or do you sell it, kind of like Juan is saying, because the fans don't make the decision? So I'm curious to see what people say about that. Are you buying or selling that lesson that Zach just laid out there? If A.J. Brown can win a Super Bowl, we'll get to your comments in a second. But Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans that we are absolutely buying with Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, I bought, and it was at a better rate. I was buying previous health plans, and they cost me a lot more money, and they weren't as good. I bought the Farm Bureau Health Plans each and every month. I saved 20% all last year, put money back in my pocket, and I got a better plan. Health, dental, and vision, 200-plus locations across the state of Tennessee. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. They got better coverage, better rates, and better service. Check out your plan, and how that works is you call or go online to fbhp.com/A to Z. You take a quick health assessment. Once you take your health assessment, then you get a quote. Then you make a decision. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. If you're in the state of Tennessee, you really need to take a look at fbhp.com/A to Z.
Also, don't forget the BetMGM app. They got you covered leading up to the big game between Philly and KC coming up in a couple weeks, and you can play a lot and win and have a lot of fun time with the BetMGM app. And this is the perfect time to use this feature, right? Everybody's got their eyes and their dollars and their budget on 2 weeks from now, right? So use the Refer a Friend invitation. So if you use the Refer a Friend invitation and they accept your invitation via the BetMGM app, Refer a Friend invitation link, you get $50 in bonus and they get $50 in bonus. And you can refer up to 50 friends with the BetMGM app. That's up to $1,000 in bonuses with the BetMGM app and the refer a friend invitation. So check that out today and get ready for that big game with BetMGM. Refer a friend invitation. $50 in bonuses for every friend, up to 20 friends that you get to sign up with the BetMGM app. So check that out right there today. So Zach, I'll send you back to the comments. Actually, just briefly, concisely lay out what you just said again about the lesson the Titans can learn from A.J. Brown potentially winning a Super Bowl. And then we'll get to the buy or sell answers.
Don't trade away premier players that you draft. I mean, it's pretty simple. This is the lesson. And you are going to have to watch in the biggest game of the year where millions and millions and millions of people are going to be watching number 11, who had a superb season, where you had to get another 11 off the streets to try to make it to the playoffs and fell short, while A.J. Brown is the most talented wide receiver the Tennessee Titans have ever drafted. This should be a lesson not to mess that up. Pay when you need to pay. If it costs $100 million and $25 million per year, you pay it, because this year was a disaster, a complete and utter disaster. And the guy who is making that decision, who was John Robinson, and Mike Vrabel had a hand in it, whether I don't know what the discussions were, if he didn't have the ability to prevent it, if he was jockeying hard to say, don't do it. We don't know. If Amy Adams-Strunk was, for it or against it, I have no idea. We don't know what happened in the war room the day that they traded, but that's the lesson that you need to learn. Don't trade away premier players that you draft, because you can't replace some guys. Some guys are irreplaceable. And I think that is the hard lesson that John Robinson, that was his mentality through his entire tenure as general manager, is that not everybody's the Patriots, because not everybody has Tom Brady that if you replace a player, Tom Brady's just going to make them better. When you have Ryan Tannehill who has a lower ceiling, you can't do that. And so that's the lesson learned.
All right. So do you buy or sell that lesson that Zach is throwing out there? I'm trying to scroll up to the comments because we got a lot of them. Mr. Wrong says Zach gets that green check mark. And then Will says, I'm buying plus he's tipping right there. Jody says, selling, water under the bridge, time to reboot and move on. Mikey says, this makes it sound like that Mikey is selling. The only lesson is build a better roster. AJ doesn't change much for the Titans this year. The Titans are not in the Super Bowl with AJ Brown. Philly already had a stacked roster, and they have the NFL cheat code, which is a rookie quarterback contract. I'll go to some more buy or sell comments there. But Zach, what do you think about Mikey's overall thought on the Titans situation with or without AJ?
Mikey's not understanding it's a future lesson. When you get into the situation again, don't trade away the premier player you drafted. Figure it out. A.J. Brown was still under contract, guys. That's what Mikey is not getting. He stated some facts, right? Rookie quarterback contracts. Yes, it does alleviate and make life easier. Now, the Eagles, just like the Kansas City Chiefs did a couple of years ago, $500 million over 10 years for Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't keep Tyreek Hill. So things start to leave once you pay your big-time quarterback. But this is a future lesson learned. And the comments say it all. I mean, everybody's buying because it's the facts.
Well, the big majority are buying. Some are selling. Like Honky Tonk says, sell. The Titans went nowhere with AJ. I mean, they went.
Yeah, but look,
Nick,
buy.
Zach, I don't know if there's a percent. I mean, yes, you said all the comments are saying buy, not all of them,
but 90%. And look, the love of the show is going to Nick, because this is my opinion. I believe it to be true, and I think I can be vindicated a little bit. The love of the show goes to Nick. Zach has been correct on the A.J. Brown trade the entire time. I've been preaching this from when I told the Titans to draft him in October before the draft even occurred, to what he did as a Titan, to what went on and how they should never have traded him when they did trade him this past offseason. And now you know the results. This man, A.J. Brown, was completely and utterly dominant all year. 1,400, almost 1,500. He had 1,496 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns. I mean, you compare that anywhere close to the Tennessee Titans wide receiving core, you talk about throwing up in your mouth, you'll puke up last Tuesday's dinner in your mouth because of how the discrepancy between A.J. Brown's statistics singularly compared to the Tennessee Titans wide receiving core as a whole. Those are straight facts, homie. It's just what it is. And now we actually know the results. So, yeah, I do feel vindicated of what I've been talking about for A.J. Brown for the last 9 to 10 months of what's happened and how he's played. And I've watched A.J. Brown because of it. Because first and foremost, he's just an outstanding player. If you love football, Austin, like you said, right?
Yeah.
You love watching great players.
Absolutely.
Just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
I watched A.J. Brown to watch great players. The plays that he made, we saw in a Tennessee Titans uniform. He's doing the same, if not more, in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform because he has a better team around him.
He's doing it more often because he's got more opportunities, because A.J. Brown had 1,496 yards, just 4 yards short of 1,500, which is a little over 400 yards more than his most in a Titans uniform, but he's got 39 more targets, right? He had a lot more opportunity because of what that offense was able to do. Plus, Devontae Smith is a freaking stud as well. Dallas Goedert, the run game, Jalen Hurts, and the offensive line. I mean, it's ironic. I mean, the Titans had an offense in 2019/2020 when AJ busted out on the scenes that were skilled. They had everything balanced, explosive, with a great offensive line in 2019 and 2020. The Eagles got that. Plus, they've got Devonta Smith, who is way better opposite A.J. Brown than anybody the Titans could possibly.
Yeah, he's better than
right?
Corey Davis.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, and whether he officially caught that ball or not in the first quarter.
That's good drafting. Yeah, he definitely didn't catch
and
it. It's good drafting by the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to tip your cap to Howie Roseman like A.J. Brown did to put this team together to make a run. They've been the best team in the NFL all season. They had to win 2 games, not multiple, because they got the bye, and now they find themselves in the Super Bowl. And Austin, to what you just said, the Titans had a stellar team in 2020, right? I mean, their offense was amazing. But when the bright lights started to shine and they had a wild card game that they hosted against the Baltimore Ravens, their offense was abysmal.
But let's also say this. That Baltimore Ravens team that beat the Titans in that wild card game is better than the Giants team that the Eagles played last week, and better than the Niners team that the Eagles played after Brock Purdy got hurt. I don't think there's any denying that. The Baltimore Ravens.
The funny thing is, the following game they lost to the Bills and Lamar Jackson got hurt and he couldn't play.
Right. And so the Ravens with Lamar Jackson that year were a way better opponent than the Giants and what the Niners became throughout that game.
I want to say this one thing.
I got some lunch money before we move completely.
Okay.
On, so.
I will say that the A.J. Brown, in 2 weeks, after the Super Bowl happens, whether he wins a ring or does not win a ring, I do think that the dust will start to settle a little bit and we will talk less about A.J. Brown. But Austin, here is the cold, hard facts, and Brett has it right. It will now be a curse. And until that curse is lifted, you will have an A.J. Brown curse, especially if the Eagles win. That curse will start to rear its head every time a wide receiver drops multiple passes like we saw with Robert Woods, or Treylon Burks doesn't work out, or he does. I don't know. But there will start to now be the curse of A.J. Brown, and that happens in sports after a bad trade.
Well, you hope it's not the curse of the Bambino that lasted a really long time up in Boston. You hope it's not the Billy Goat curse with the Cubs. You hope it's not what are some other curses that, we can think about that later on. But you got any other curses that pop up in your mind? Baseball.
The Clippers in general? The Clippers can't win an NBA title.
But I just think that's just because they're the Clippers. I don't think
that's a curse. The curse of the Clippers.
But there was no reason for it. There was no trigger that created the curse like there is with
the Clippers when they created the Clippers.
Yeah, that's just a bad decision to begin with. But John says that he is buying some lunch money for Sam, buying because he'd root for Ray Charles driving in the Indy 500 before he'd root for the Chiefs. So let's go A.J. Brown. So, my official take on this, Zach, is I buy the concept of what you're saying, but I also feel like the Titans lesson has already been learned. Like I think that's, I don't think winning or losing the Super Bowl is going to change the lesson one way or the other. The lesson's been learned by the Tennessee Titans because they lost 7 games in a row for a lot of different reasons, right? They fired John Robinson for several different reasons, A.J. Brown's trade being a big one, right? And so I think it's already kind of been done. Like it's the whole, like, you can stop shooting now. Like you got it. Like,
it's
so
just it's the cherry on top. Like it's that last impactful thing that says, wow, we messed up royally, right? Instead of we really messed up, it's we messed up royally.
And Michael, last thing, and we'll move on. Michael says, sorry, clicked the wrong one. It says, and he was healthy all year. Yeah. AJ Brown played 17 games.
Those knees held up.
It's going to be interesting, man. I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the Titans and their situation with guys not being healthy, but we did a Dog Talk segment about that a couple weeks ago. And I suggest if you have not watched it, then you should go watch it. You got anything else to add?
I was just going to say AJ Brown was healthier than the Titans team, as you kind of alluded to. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The Titans have a problem, and it seems like AJ Brown was not the problem. The Titans are the problem when it comes to that there. So, all right, Zach,
that's a Taylor Swift song.
Is it?
Yeah, me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah, I'll default to you on that one. All right. So let's talk about the AFC Championship game for a second. There was some controversy and a penalty that allowed that game to go the way that it did. We will talk about that briefly, but I want to focus more on Travis Kelce because, guys, I thought Travis Kelce looked so annoying with his post-game antics. So we'll play this video from Travis Kelce after the Chiefs beat the Cincinnati Bengals, and I want to know this. Do you think Travis Kelce's post-game antics were cool, or do you think they were cringe? Were Travis Kelce's post-game antics cool or cringe? Here's Kelce.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
Just want to thank God, man.
Woo! Burrow had my ass. Woo! It's Mahomes' house.
Hey.
I said enough about the Cincinnati mayor. It was Cincinnati was a better city when Jerry Springer was a mayor.
I had not seen that last one. All right, so cool or cringe is post-game antics, but first let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans and of A to Z Sports. So if you get injured in a car wreck, call Hughes and Coleman for a free case consultation, 800-800-4600 for a free case consultation. They will go get you that insurance money you deserve after being injured in a car accident. They've done it for 30 plus years and have recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky. So that's Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, Principal Office, Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports, BetMGM. That's who powers us in the mornings. Promo code ATOZ Sports. They're the king of the sports book. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports for new users. It's right there in your Apple or Android store. I want a little bit of cashola over the weekend, and you can too by downloading the BetMGM app in your Apple or Android app store.
All right, so Travis Kelce, cool or cringe? And so I see cringe. I see cringe times 10. I say Sam said the last one was good, but the others, yikes. I see cool from Caleb. Good for that dude and his brother. Talk your ish guy. Apollo says funny. Rashid says cool. Johnny says cringe. What an idiot. Steele says cool. Let's see. Annoying from Brent. Cringe from Ali. Yikes. Cringe from Sean. Gabriel says he's too good to be this dumb. Demetrius loves it. Scott says cringe. Ryan says cool. That boy was having fun. M1 says Travis Kelce is a douche nozzle. How to not to is cringe. He's entertaining, so fun but funny. So cringe coming in from Alex. It's both cool cringe all over the place. I think Travis Kelce is a complete DB. I do not like Travis Kelce. I think what he did last
No, he
night.
plays tight end. He doesn't play defensive back.
No, good one. The last one at the podium, that was funny. Like that was a moment that he got obviously in the locker room and away from his emotional reaction and had a self-aware moment at the post-game press conference. But I think what he did, like with the Patrick Mahomes interview, is just so cringe. Like, bro, go away for a second. Like, let your quarterback is talking to the national TV audience. Get out of there and don't come in there and sound like a woo girl on Broadway in downtown Nashville. Like, that was cringe to me. And the going on and on about the mayor, that was cringe to me. I prefer not to have that type of stuff. I don't like Travis Kelce. I think he's way over the top. But again, he's a great player. Love watching Travis Kelce play football, but he's got a tendency of being a crying, whiny baby when things don't go his way. And we saw that against the Titans the last couple of years. And I just don't like him in general. But so I always say cringe. The last part was funny though, the press conference.
I don't picture, Travis Kelce as a whiner. That's not, he's a great player. We know that. I mean, you watch him play, he's outstanding. I don't necessarily categorize this as cool. I also wasn't cringing at it. I thought it reminded me of entertainment. It was funny. And where I think that we are removed because we're not a part of the Chiefs or the Bengals, right? Like fan base.
Yeah.
The Bengals were talking mad trash to the Chiefs because they'd beaten them 3 times and they had dethroned them from going to the Super Bowl last year. And this was their payback, right? We had all said that, like, Mahomes, this is the first time he had ever been not favored at some point versus in a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, that line was all over the place.
Yeah, it was. And we knew it was going to be because of the ankle. And Mahomes deserves a ton of credit for playing through what he played through. But this was hilarious to me. I mean, I cackled, I laughed. And I do think that if you beat an opponent that has been talking trash to you, you should dance on them. And that's all Travis Kelce was doing. And that is Travis Kelce. He is a guy that keeps it light. That's his personality. It's like Lil Juan. That's just his personality. Do you agree with everything that he says? Is everything super smart and super intelligent? No, it's not. But Travis Kelce is the same way. But when he said, know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni, I started dying laughing out loud. I rewound it. I watched it again. And my fiance goes, what's a jabroni? I was like, it's actually a term that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson used back in the Attitude Era of WWE, which that's what it is. It was a WWE promo. That and Kelce is a WWE wrestling fan, right? So like,
yeah, and I'm not. I don't like. I think that stuff's
and you don't have to. You don't have to be a fan to know that he was just living in that moment, and that was the form of talking trash. He wasn't doing, Austin, I thought about this, is he wasn't the Richard Sherman, like, angry, right? Like, you remember the Richard Sherman, Aaron Andrews moment where that looked bad because he had, like, he was angry. He was, like, Travis Kelce, that's so fun-loving of, like, the party line at the end. This is what Kelce does. So I wasn't cringing at it. I wasn't like, oh, man, that guy's so cool. But I was like, man, I love this. This is hilarious.
Let's put it in.
It's the greatest way to talk trash. Like, he did it in a great manner.
And
if you're gonna talk trash, he wasn't negative. He wasn't calling out the Bengals team. He was calling out the mayor who had talked trash on their behalf, right? So it was kind of perfect on how it was executed. That's why I do not cringe at it at all.
If we go chronologically, I thought it was cringier at the beginning and it got better later, right? Chronologically, the first thing that happened was him interrupting the Mahomes interview, where Mahomes was like, literally how it happened. I just want to thank God. And then, woo, Burrowhead.
But that interview got interrupted earlier too. Yes, that was the second interruption.
And so I think it's ridiculous. I don't like when players interrupt interviews. I think that is just my, like,
they just won the AFC championship.
No, I know.
Yeah, they're not Nick Saban. They're not going to go grind tape. Like, you got to let them live.
I think like there's a purpose and a moment for that. And I get networks probably think it's funny and great when something like that happens. But, the Mahomes interruption was cringy to me. What he said and calling out the mayor on the podium was less cringy. And then his press conference afterwards was a funny moment. And so I am not a Travis Kelce, like, off the field fan. I think he's annoying.
Do you
I
think
he's
Gronk
too
is funny?
Yeah, because I mean,
it's the same. They're
Yeah.
they serve the same purpose.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
but I was never like a Gronk guy either, though. Like,
No, you don't have to be a Gronk,
Yeah.
but like they're unbelievable tight ends that lighten the mood and that like bring the positive energy in any situation.
Are they the same? I mean,
Yeah, they
Xavier's-
serve the same. They're a different movie. It's a different movie, but they're the same character, right?
Yeah,
We've seen that. We've seen that time and time again.
And I usually don't necessarily gravitate towards that character. Like,
that's fine. But
like-
that it's just serving the purpose.
No, I know, but like the stupid funny guy is not exactly my type of guy anymore. Like, it's just not. And so, Travis Kelce's always annoyed me, and so I that's why I'm even more annoyed by that too.
Yeah,
and again,
you have a bone, whatever.
Yeah, I've got a history of being annoyed by Travis Kelce for stupid things too. And so, yeah, that goes into it. Am I anti-talking trash? Hell no. I love talking trash. I just think that there's a way to go about it, and there's moments
that's the way to go about it. You've just won the AFC Championship game against a team that beat you last year in the AFC Championship game, in which their mayor was talking trash all week about Joe Burrow and their team. So you attack the mayor on national television on multiple occasions and do it in a non-aggressive, he wasn't cussing, he wasn't dropping F-bombs, like in the most funny, most comical way. I disagree just in the sense of like, I don't know how you do that better.
Sean says they're both Adam Sandler tight ends.
And yes, that's hilarious.
And I don't find the Adam Sandler bit funny anymore. Like
Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. There it is. There's the comparison. There's Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it's
both great movies, both hilarious, both serve the exact same purpose. They're not Oscar nominees. We're not sitting here talking about The Revenant or Training Day.
But you grow out of that.
It is what it is.
But you do grow out of that.
Austin, you don't. Go watch Billy Madison. You will laugh your ass off.
Yeah, nostalgically, because I will be a 15-year-old watching it again. Not like now. Like, I just not what I go into.
Go watch it. It's hilarious. Happy Gilmore's hilarious. Damn alligator bit my hand off. I mean, that's hilarious.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but it is, yes, it serves a purpose. I'm not disagreeing, but I do think Travis Kelce made me cringe last night interrupting Mahomes. So that's,
different strokes. That's why we talk about it.
I do want to say this. I don't know if you saw the Bengals linebacker who basically blamed going to the locker room Joseph Ossai for losing them the game. I was going to play that video, but it's just like littered with a bunch of F-bombs, and I didn't want to do that to our audience just in case, we have people watching here. But I think it's ridiculous for anybody, including Jermaine Pratt of the Bengals, to blame Joseph Ossai for them losing that game. That sucks for Joseph Ossai. I feel bad for Joseph Ossai.
Well, he didn't
it was
blame
absolutely
him.
A penalty.
He didn't blame him. He asked him why, right? It was pure emotion. I do give some pass to what he didn't blame him. He didn't say you're the reason why you lost. If you listen to what he said, he goes, why would you touch the quarterback like that? Now, in his defense, I do think that he was moving way too fast. And that's why he got hurt. If you saw,
I thought he blew his knee out.
Oh, I did
too. I don't think he did. But
so I think that he was in a uncompromised situation. Should he have done that? No. I mean, it cost him the game. But I think that's just a teammate in emotion asking why. It's a rhetorical question, right? He's not going to turn around and be like, "Well, here's the reason why." Actually, I went like it's just an emotion.
It's just Joseph Ossai was unblockable that entire game. Joseph Ossai had a hell of a game. And yes, it was a penalty. And I am also not one of those people that think the ref shouldn't throw that. I saw plenty of Twitter reactions of like, how did you throw that flag in that moment? No, it's a penalty. And it won the Chiefs the game because I don't think they would have scored a touchdown. They would have had a Hail Mary shot from the 45
Well, we
yard
talked
line.
about it. There's 8 seconds left. Mahomes in 8
No
seconds.
timeouts. No timeouts.
It's Patrick Mahomes. That's the point.
But still, Joseph Ossai, that penalty was tough, especially with how they showed him on the bench for a long, long time. With his face in his jersey, and you could see with his body moving that the emotions that he was going through. I just think anybody that attacks Joseph Ossai from the Bengals fan base or anybody there, I think is misguided.
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to not go that far. I think that clip was just an emotion. I think, and he didn't react. Like, he didn't turn around and be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like, he just walked into the locker room. So I will say this overall. Look, the refs didn't lose or win that game. I will say the refs did lose and lost the Lakers-Celtics game on Saturday night when I was watching that. Tough scene all weekend for officials, especially, and I know it didn't end up being anything, but the redo third down call, you can't have that on national television in the biggest game of the year in a deciding game.
You can't have that anyway. You can't have that anywhere.
No,
I don't care what week it is.
We talk about all season primetime games, right? We talk about 12 o'clock games compared to this. This you cannot have, and it's unfortunate. Now, it's fortunate that it didn't change the complete outcome of the game.
It changed some field position, a little bit here and there, maybe by a first down.
But it would have been a lot more if it would have been
something.
And it was intentional grounding. At first, I did not think that Joe Burrow did intentional grounding, but if you go back and look to it, the running back is too far away. I think it was Samaje Perine. It was too far away, and the ball didn't cross the line of scrimmage, and he was in the pocket.
If you want to have grief on a call that went against the Bengals that shouldn't have, I thought the pass interference on Mike Hilton when he didn't make that much contact with Valdez-Scantling, that was a penalty that you're like, come on. And even Mike Pereira was like, yeah, I don't know about that one. And so there were several calls that were made, and we saw way too much of that ref on our TVs with,
explaining, talking to Zach Taylor, like, hey, here's, it's like, he was never explaining things to Andy Reid, right?
No,
I felt like he was always on the Bengals sideline.
And sometimes that's just how stuff goes in games, and that sucks. And I feel bad for Joseph Ossai. I feel bad, the Bengals had an opportunity to win that game again in Arrowhead Stadium to go to the Super Bowl, and it was sitting right there in front of them, and they just couldn't make that play at the end. And then Ossai, the penalty that was correctly called, gave that game-winning field goal an opportunity. So, all right, Zach, let's wrap up this Monday show with a Monday Ask Me Anything. But first, tell us all about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride, whether it's the Palisade, you see it right down there. Boom, that full-size SUV. It's a great vehicle for your family. It's got plenty of room, third-row seating, all the bells and whistles. Test drive one today at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They also have four-door sedans like the Elantra and the Sonata. They've got the Ioniq, which is battery-powered. Test drive one. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Also, don't forget, right now we've got less than 2 weeks officially to get ready for the big game, Philly and KC. You know it's coming up. And so what you need to do if you're currently a BetMGM user, make the most of it, because it would be great to have extra bonus bets in your account to use on the game, and do that with the Refer a Friend invitation. Here's what you do. You open your BetMGM app, you go with the Refer a Friend invitation, and you send it to your friends, up to 20 of them. And for every one of your friends that signs up, you get $50 in bonus. They get $50 in bonus as well. And you can get up to $1,000 in bonuses with the BetMGM Refer a Friend invitation. So check that out in your BetMGM app today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued with knowledgeable for bets or site credit. For bets expire in 30 days. And for problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach, I will let you to set us up for this Monday Ask Me Anything topic.
So here's a question that I pulled. It's from a card. We play this Ask Me Anything game. And I don't know this, because there is probably like a law, but there's also like okay, who cares? But there also is an age. So here's the question. Let's see if we could focus in on this.
Got it.
Are children who act in R-rated movies allowed to see them? And I think it's a really good question, and I don't know the answer. Are children who act in R-rated movies allowed to see them? Like, let's say it's a horror film, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm sure, like, they got kids in there. Like, maybe a kid gets his arm cut off or something, right? Family. Like, are those kids able to see, and at what age? Because here's another question. How old do you have to be to watch an R-rated film?
I think 17.
Age to watch rated R. 17.
Okay.
Or
accompanied by a parent, right?
Oh, so there it is. So you could be, so that's the answer.
And I also think, Jarrell says it adds a little bit, but it depends on why is it rated R. Jarrell brings up sexual content. Is it rated R because
violence
of violence? Like, why is it rated R? And I think that can be the determining factor on that. Now, it's also like, what age is the kid, right?
A kid, are you 9?
5? I mean, I don't know. Like, there could be a 5-year-old actor in a rated R movie that plays a role that has nothing to do with said violence or activity.
And I also think this is a factor because young, let's say child actors, I don't want to give them the benefit, but they're probably, they're super talented to be able to act in that.
I think it
may have a higher IQ. I don't know. I mean, I'm not generalizing.
This is like most things. I believe most things are case by case, and I think this is an absolute thing where it's case by case. If somebody is 12 years or older and they are a career child actor and they have been exposed to things that normal 12-year-olds are not with adult life, I think that is more option to do that. If it's, you
don't want to be like Jessica Simpson's parents, right? They steal all your money, like. No,
I mean, I think it's case by case. If it's like a super famous child actor that's done a lot of like big time films and they're 13 years old, then, I think that's probably okay, depending on the actual film itself, right? I think there are so many
turn into Shia LaBeouf, which I like Shia LaBeouf, but he is out there, right? Like, and I think it's been documented, child stars, and Orlando brings this and goes, you damn right I am. I made this family money off this movie, right? Like, the child actors, they grow up, and I think this is indicative of what the conversation is right? That they grow up in a grown-up world when maybe it would be better for their growth to not, right? They see things that you shouldn't see as a 13 or a 12-year-old kid because you're around grown-ups like throughout the day, shooting and stuff like that. I do think that's impactful of why you see kid stars be messed up.
Yeah, I also don't know, like, and I'm not a big movie person, but like, how many child roles are there in some of the?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll pay attention to it more now because we've asked the question. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you if there's a 13-year-old kid in, Freddy Krueger Friday or, horror films. Because that's another thing.
I don't know why. Like, The Sixth Sense was kind of the first movie that came to my mind, but I don't even know if that's rated R.
Well, that's why we have the internet. I do not know. The Sixth Sense. 1999.
Is it PG-13?
Got a 4.7. Rated.
Because like that's a child actor who is a prominent role in that movie, right? And so like, if that was rated R, I think that actor probably is fine to watch that movie. But I don't know what it was rated. And Kevin says
PG-13.
Yeah. So again, like The Sixth Sense is a very significant film. It's dark. It's got twists and turns, and it's PG-13, right? And so,
what about? Here's one that, well, again, child actors. It was main actors, but do you remember Seth Rogen's Sausage Party, which was like It was a Pixar film. This has kind of changed the game. It was a Pixar film, but it was an adult film, like an adult based. It was R. And so like you had, hot dogs and hot dog buns coming in making sexual innuendos that were not suitable for children.
Yeah, probably. So I just found
the villain in there was what you described Travis Kelce as.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's Seth Rogen. So I just found a link: 14 violent and disturbing movies that star kids too young to watch them. The Good Son, never seen it. The Exorcist, that is one that you would say, yeah, probably not watch that one when you're in the debut. Man on Fire.
Man on Fire is a great movie. Child's
Play, never seen it or heard of it. The Omen, Aliens, Pan's Labyrinth, a weird movie. Kick-Ass, I don't remember that. Sudden Death, don't remember that. Again, so there's just some options.
There's not that many, I guess.
Yeah, there's not that many.
That's unique. So look, that's Ask Me Anything. I don't know if we learned something. I learned something that at 17 was the R-rated movie or accompanied by a parent. I did not know that.
Yeah. All right, A to Z Sports, that wraps it up for us on this Monday. Buck Rising will be live tonight, A to Z Sports Prime Time. So make sure you check that out on the same social channels. Will be live at 8 o'clock Central. And don't forget, like the video before you go. Give us a thumbs up right there when you're watching, and subscribe to our A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel before you head out if you're not already. We appreciate it as always, and we'll see you tomorrow on a Tuesday morning. Thanks.
Adios.